Hi investors, JJ here. Welcome back. Well, today we're going to look at what Peter Thiel's been saying about crypto and Bitcoin. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast just recently. It was more than a 3-hour conversation. Didn't say a lot about crypto and Bitcoin. He said a lot about AI, but let's see what the things he had to say were. I've isolated a few, so let's get into it and I'll react to it.
The internet, the point of the internet, in some sense, was to eliminate the tyranny of place. And that was sort of the idea. And then one of the paradoxes about the internet, history of the internet was that the internet companies, were all centered in California. And there have been different waves of how networked, how non-networked they were. I think probably 2021, sort of the COVID moving away from California. The big thing in tech was crypto, and crypto had this conceit of a alternate currency, decentralized, away from the central banks, but also the crypto companies, the crypto protocols. You could do those from anywhere. You could do them outside the U.S. You could do them from Miami, and so crypto was something where the tech could naturally move out of California, and today probably the core tech narrative is completely flipped to AI, and then there's something about AI that's very centralized. I had this one-liner years ago where it was if we say that crypto is libertarian, can we also say that AI is communist, or something like this, where the natural structure for an AI company looks like it's a big company, and then somehow the AI stuff feels like it's going to be dominated by the big tech companies in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Interesting.
And so if that's
interesting what he's saying there. He's comparing crypto's libertarian, AI's communist, but what he means there is centralization versus decentralization, saying that you could do crypto from anywhere. And he was a pretty big supporter recently, and I'll put this link in the description. He said that he doesn't think the Bitcoin price will go up much from here because it's been co-opted by, with the ETFs. It's been co-opted by the establishment when he would have preferred it not to be like that, although he did want it to become mainstream, an alternative currency, but it's been co-opted by establishment. He talks about a lot in this podcast about AI being centralized, and it's looking like the big tech companies will dominate this and where it goes. He's got a lot of sort of misgivings, or it talks about which sort of way it could go, and he's not so optimistic about big central AI and where that's going in the future. He seems to be talking about crypto and Bitcoin in the past as if it was the narratives moved to AI and it's not such a big thing anymore. He has said he still owns some Bitcoin, but he has sold quite a lot of it. So what do you think of what he said here? Do you think that's true, that it's way more centralized, or it's going to be centralized AI, and crypto was a chance that was kind of missed in a way, I suppose, what he's saying? He's got more to say here. I'll just look for that clip and we'll see what else he's got to say. He's got this one other thing in a 3-hour podcast. Didn't say much about it at all. Okay, here we go. If you're getting value out of this episode so far, do remember to smash that like button to help the algorithm to spread it to more people to find this channel. I really appreciate that. Thanks. Okay, let's get back to Peter Thiel and what else he had to say about Bitcoin. It was a little bit more.
Your question. But in this world where not much has happened, one of the paradoxes of an era of relative tech stagnation is that when something does happen, we don't even know how to process it. So I think Bitcoin was it was a big invention. We can debate whether it was good or bad, but it was a pretty big deal, and it was systematically underestimated for at least the first 10, 11 years. And you could trade it. It went up smoothly for 10, 11 years. It didn't get repriced all at once because we're in a world where nothing big ever happens, and so we have no way of processing it when something pretty big happens. The internet was pretty big in '99. Bitcoin was moderately big. The internet was really big. Bitcoin was moderately big, and I'd say passing the Turing test is really big. It's on the same scale as the internet, and because our lived experience is that so little has felt like it's been changing for the last few decades, we're probably underestimating it.
It's interesting. So he's talking about AI again there. It was saying the internet was a big deal, and it was a big deal. It was a big, in terms of stock prices and investments, it did get over its skis there in the 1990s into this big bubble. And then Bitcoin came along, crypto came along, really during the financial crisis was really the beginning of that. People were looking for an alternative currency when the GFC was, if you were around then, if you remember that, it was a big deal. People thought the whole financial system was going to collapse. So that was definitely, it did seem like a big deal. Crypto, when he said it went up in a smooth path, I guess you could say that, but there were definitely some massive volatility along the way. As I said, he thinks it's not going to go up that much more. I mean, he could be wrong there. And in terms of AI, what he was talking about in that conversation, if you listen to the whole thing, he was talking about how we can't process big things that have happened in terms of AI passing the Turing test. So we can be fooled by ChatGPT or other large language models into thinking that they're human. That's passing the Turing test in the traditional sense. There are different different parameters that people put on it, but he's saying that we're underestimating that's already happened. Not that we're going to get to super intelligence, although it might do an AI, but he thinks that we're currently underestimating passing the Turing test, how important and big that is in the scheme of things, and saying Bitcoin and crypto was kind of a lesser thing, but they could all work together. Of course, you've got the internet, we've got crypto, we've got AI, all of these things converging, which people talk about it. And he didn't talk about this in this podcast, but that's another thing that could be discussed. What do you think? Do you think they all work together in some way? We just don't know what's going to happen in terms of that in the next, say, 5-10 years. It's hard to know, isn't it? Especially with AI. But he's less optimistic about crypto and where it's going, with his libertarian stance on that it's been co-opted by the establishment, really. So what do you think of that? Let me know in the comments what you think of what he said here in this podcast. That's all the references that I could find to crypto and Bitcoin in that whole 3-hour podcast. I did go through the transcript, so hope you enjoyed that. Leave a like if you did get some value out of this. And also, I want to tell you about ShareSite, which does incorporate crypto here. See that there, or Bitcoin you can bring into your portfolio. If you have stocks and Bitcoin, you can bring, if you have different brokers, you can bring your investments into one portfolio to see its true performance. Is a special offer here for my viewers, and you can sign up for free if you want to, but the premium features are much better, of course. I wouldn't recommend anything that I don't use myself. And there's a video here. If you go here onto the landing page, there's a link in the description to that, and see that video, and it'll tell you all about it. So I'll put a link on screen also to a video that YouTube wants you to watch next, and I'll put a link in the description to two previous Peter Thiel episodes. Oh, actually 3 that I've done so far on this channel. So go and see those if you want to. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.